Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Bitcoin Technical Analysis. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. The episode's a bit later today than they were recently. Partly for the reason for that is because I just did an extremely detailed, extremely long video about the Ichimoku cloud. Let's just dive on into the price action here with Bitcoin, Ethereum. What we'll be looking at in this video is Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin versus Ethereum. So, you know, the USD pairings and their pairing between each other. I've shrunk myself down to the corner. My name is Rocky Outcrop. This is 100% quality technical analysis. Thanks so much for joining me. Let's dive over to the charts and zoom on in. As you can see here, I have the Ichimoku cloud on the go at the same time as several other things, including this moving average, which I'll actually just hide for now instead. And that's what I'll be using in today's episode. No big deal, really. Just wanted to show the fact that I've got an Ichimoku cloud video out there, and then, you know, give people something to watch, I suppose, afterwards with regards to looking at this thing. Am I the biggest fan of it? No, I'm not particularly, to be perfectly frank with you, because of the way that I'm able to see this and therefore see how it has various sort of correlations with other ways of doing things, and that ultimately we're all making the same cake at the end of the day. It's just using different ingredients, so it's fine. You know, call this white castor sugar, and I prefer using, you know, xylitol in my thing instead, or let's just say brown sugar, whatever, you know. But at the end of the day, a cake's a cake, innit? And what we've got here is highs that came in recently at that 13,285. We've not actually managed to supersede those, and we said we see the prices having retraced back a little bit so far today. In this 24-hour time period, we don't actually have a bearish engulfing candle. Movements down below that 12,960 area will see that become a bearish engulfing candle. I'm actually curious as to how these things end up looking when they get translated over to the bigger time frame candles as well, like this 2-day candle. Of course, you've got a long way to go if you want that to be a bearishly engulfing one on any of these big candle time frames. But looking at the oscillators down below as well, worth remembering that we have bearish divergence coming in here with these tops. If I jump over towards, this is the CME chart. If I jump over towards the this one, which is, what's this, Bitstamp, is it? Yeah, Bitstamp chart. I remember I have a cipher on here. Long term, you could be looking at coming down towards various different targets off the back of this. If this were to happen, by the way, just as a quick sort of shout out to people, then in terms of just easy sort of Dow Jones theory, I'm not going to go into super detail, just using 50% here. You could be looking down as far as 8,555. If you were to see, of course, this happening anytime soon over the next wee while, the easiest route through the cloud would be over there. There is, of course, you know, currently speaking, just in terms of the current, it could also end up being just there, whatever. There is, of course, this area of support and resistance in there, which we know it defines some key areas for us, such as 11,200 area, which we know about from having been, you know, a significant area in the recent past that we broke up above. Then down here towards the 9,200 area, you know, before this big sort of rise up the way, lining up here with this 9,500 area or so as well, and our white line going sideways. That's what we know in terms of you know, the risk management off the back of this. Now, what position we're in right now, of course, is just having had another positive cross here with regards to the 3-day time frame here on the spot prices for Bitcoin, and of course we're above the cloud, and that gives you the idea that potentially we could be looking towards an upward play in terms of price action. Just popping on this crappy lagging span effort just to see where we are. Well, the prices are actually currently, you know, the previous, we know we've been trending for quite a while here. We know this has been a 6-month long upward trend anyway, so we know that that's a positive enough move to take off the back of that. Are we as confident about this cross that's just happened over here as regards to you know, this cross that just happened is a result of pushing past the negative price action that we had previously when we had, you know, that led up to this cross happening. You can see that the crosses, in a sense, when it comes to these particular ones, are quite lagging, really, in terms of indicators. I am a little bit concerned by this divergence that we're seeing there on the 3-day time frame. On the 24-hour time frame, it's not really there unless you're looking back towards these highs over here at that point. So let's just bear in mind that we do have these key areas of resistance, and of course we know right now, using the conversion line, just in terms of looking down below us at 12,250 is going to be important for us with regards to the price action. In fact, just looking in this span here, as you can see with this upward sloping orange line kind of giving us our upward sloping area, and this top area here, that we have moved outside of a significant area in terms of the big story with regards to Bitcoin. That all disappeared, did it? Right, cool. We've moved outside of a big story. As you look over to the left, you can see that there. That's all very much happened. But let's bear in mind that retests of this zone would not be out with the question. Holding on to longs at this point, if that's what you're looking for in terms of your video and what you're tuning in for, of course, not a bad thing. But I would be looking out for taking profits on them if I were a financial advisor, which I'm not. Because of the potential for movements. Now, we have gone above our blue serrated line here on the historical support resistance line that we're talking about, which we wanted to see pushing up above at 13k. That's happened, and closes up above 13k in terms of the daily time frame remain positive, giving ourselves a somewhat of a chance for these things to kind of reset, if you like, with regards to the price action, over the next wee while, if we're able to sustain that. But that's quite a big ask. You're looking at divergence across the board with these bigger time frames. But that will disappear if we push up the way. So what we would need to see happening would be more than just this 1.272 Fibonacci retracement point here. Said we were looking up to sort of the 1.414 or perhaps even the 1.618, which I would think would be a very key potential turnaround zone for us if the prices did actually reach that 14k area. In the meantime, we've got plenty to be getting on with. The main question being, are we going to find support or resistance at that 13k area that we find ourselves at now, or will we go going down to either of these two previous areas, such as our previous high over there in the 12,500 region, the conversion line here at 11,900, and or indeed, are we going to be looking out for the sort of the midpoint between the conversion and the baseline in the near future in there 11,600? We know that those are important areas, having just lived through them with the cascading price action towards the top side, finding resistance in at those areas exactly anyway. Those are the key areas to be looking out for. That's going to do for this video in regards to Bitcoin. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum, in more or less, if I just hide all the drawings and stacked here, Ethereum is in fact, I actually made the Ichimoku Cloud video here on this Ethereum chart, but didn't really, delve into anything that we're looking at overall. We're above the baseline here. The baseline is actually kind of, coming in here on the 2-day time frame above the conversion line over here, putting in the looking like we could come in for a cross soon, of course, if we see the prices continue to push towards the top side, or just simply by going sideways here, we will see this crossover towards the top side soon enough. Really, by virtue of the fact that these lows over here will become historical and just be part of the calculation for the 26 period and not part of the 9 period anymore, pushing us on up past this area. Right now, this cross is happening within the cloud itself, giving you a sort of question mark about whether or not, if we do get a cross there on that time frame, it's going to be as positive as other crosses that we've seen. We've seen this positive cross just here, which has then brought us up to being outside of the cloud on the 24-hour time frame, looking down the way, $400 clear area. $400. It's no surprise that that's actually got one of the biggest long sideways chunks here in terms of price resistance for us that we've really ever had on the charts. It's one of these big ones that stands out. Other big ones include in the past $277, $200. So 190 again, in around those key areas. So we know that at the minute, big key area for $400. If we were to see the prices drop back down below that, we're back inside this cloud again. And of course, we could be looking at prices turning flat when overall the market's been in an overall upward thrust recently. What we need to see happen is kind of taking out this area here of the 427, where we have the cloud behind us now, of course, as well. This is me using the Ichimoku Cloud more sophisticatedly than just simply saying, well, this is behind us so we can forget about it now. No, this area here is clearly a significant area in terms of support and resistance. Pop all the drawings back on again, and you can see, in fact, the reason for that. Zooming on in the way is that we've got a 618 coming in right here at that zone, golden pocket Fibonacci retracement area. We also have a 236 over there at 426. We've got significant areas above us in terms of measured moves off of patterns that we have here on the charts. If we were to get a 60% movement up the way, we would be breaking that. We would be breaking that if we were to consider this to be a thing. We'd be getting a 60% move towards the top side. We would be breaking that there, but coming in and asking questions about it, then asking to see if we can find it as support thereafter or not with this 236. You know, if we do get the full thing, then we're looking up towards the 786, and we can talk about the two upward side targets thereafter as being 452 and 470. Movements down the way, $400 obviously as being the key thing, but let's call it 395 really anyway. And we can look towards the 390 where the conversion line is there for sort of assessing any sort of trend with this one. Movements back down below this conversion line currently will give us a sort of a good warning for us considering the position of it with regards to the cloud itself. And looking down towards here with the baseline, of course, movements down past that will probably coincide with a crossover of those things anyway at the same time, you know, getting one, getting the other. And so that's what we'll be looking to. Hopefully, if you want to stay above the base, the lead A line. What's the Japanese for it again? Give me this. The Senko Span B. Senko Span. So if you want to stay above Senko Span B, then cool. That would be good in terms of the longer term picture. We're looking in here at the 236 coming in at 379 there to ask questions about that. Should that be the case? Movements down past any of these zones will obviously detrimentally affect those things looking forward. Overall, you know, we've come up and up and up and up and up the way all the time up above the cloud here for the last however many months, you know, really since we broke past it in April. This is when we had the initiation of this trend. This is the first time we've really been asking questions about it in this period here when we dipped into it through a consolidation sideways, much like we had over there on Bitcoin as well. When we came into period sideways, you know, that was okay. You know, we were flat at the time and that made sense and everything else. We broke on up and went up past it. This is the first time that we've really come down back below it again and then had to then retest this area. Let's look out for anything that might happen in and around about the key areas we've already identified with regards to this future area, especially when it comes to Ethereum, looking that little bit weaker now than the Bitcoin one did, just a little compared to how it looked a little bit stronger, especially during this chunk here where we saw this, where we saw the cloud really sort of flattening out and us moving towards the top side. Okay, now final thing, Ethereum, Bitcoin. This then shows us that evolution of that story that I was talking about before, where we have the cloud now very much above our heads. The differences being since, you know, back in March, where is March? Back in March here, we've crossed around the cloud a lot more, but we were generally speaking above it during this big, real strong trend in action up in the late summer period to early autumn. Now that we're in autumn, for sure, are we going to see the prices fall as a result of that? Or will we move towards the top side up above our heads? We know that we've got the resistance from the head and shoulders here, jump up to a 3-day time frame, make it easier to see. We know that we have this up above our heads, as we can see here, marked clearly with the cloud as well. If we were to then come up into this area, we'd need to see the prices moving up past this to stay above it, moving sideways beyond this, beyond October, without having broken above 0.033, means that you're looking at going into this flat sideways period action here. We have got a big cross between the baseline, the conversion line, with a negative downward price action operating as resistance so far on the bigger time frame. So none of that is positive. The only positive that we have is the fact that we're in this wedge, breaking above it and breaking above the neckline of that head and shoulders could initiate a measured move, which would take us past the cloud and everything else and past those targets too, looking up towards 37, 38, you know, big chunk profit targets up above there. I'd be more cautious looking in the near future at that 32, 66, 33 level, really 33 in this zone just here, than I would be looking up towards those areas. Of course, there's the targets to have there and then resistance or support, should we need it down there at 31.95. But of course, that's not going to be very strong for us. That's going to do for the three today. If you want to understand a bit more about that cloud, how it all comes together, where it's from, watch that video. I swear to God. Yeah, again, one of the best videos I think exists on YouTube. I'm obviously slightly biased. Catch you next time. Yeah, like, subscribe. I appreciate it when people do that. I really do. I'd love to see the channel get some growth. It hasn't grown at all, you know, for a month now. You might remember a couple of months ago I was going 2K September, 2K September. Can we get 2K in the next 2 weeks? I did at the start of September. Then can we get 2K in the next 2 weeks in the second half of September? And then in October, I just decided to forget about it altogether. We've seen almost no growth in the channel since then. Can we see some? Well, actually, all that comes down to you, because I've not changed at all. I'm still putting out this same quality content every day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next episode.